it's a very tough division in terms of there's a lot of parity, which also makes it exciting for the fans. But every game, you're going into the third period, you're either 2-2 or up 3-2 or down 3-2, and that's what makes our division and our league so special.
Across these last two games with Iowa, what have you seen from your team that you like going into the next game on Sunday?
Well, I think our ability to generate scoring chances. I think if you look at the scoring chances for versus against tonight, I thought we had our fair share of them, and obviously we want to capitalize on some of those chances, but we weren't able to, and you got to give their goalie credit. But as the season series goes on, we know them, they know us, and now it's just a matter of execution and a couple in-game adjustments. But overall, we're quite pleased with our group's effort.
One player that I wanted to ask about was Daniel Tedesco. In the 6 games that he's been back since going for the Italian national team, he's had 6 points. I saw that he started on overtime tonight. Could you say anything about his play the last 2 games?
Yeah, I've talked to him. That break in Italy really helped him. It helped him in terms of just staying out of the gym and being a little bit more on the ice, and he felt like he came back rejuvenated, and obviously we're seeing that. And even with that statistic, I still think he could have left tonight with 2 or 3, probably more. And I'm sure he feels the same way. He's an elite player for our level, and we're very lucky to have him on our side.
In the first period, referee Cam Frazier went down.
Yeah.
Now, he finished out the period, but it looked like he did not come back for the rest of the game. A couple questions around that. First, he spoke to both benches after the apparent injury. What did he share with you guys?
He was just saying that he took a pretty big whack there, and he was going to give it a try for the next 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And then if he felt like he couldn't continue, he was going to call the league during the intermission and just kind of explain the situation. And that's exactly what he did. So we wish him well, and hopefully he has a speedy recovery here.
Do you have anything to say about the performance of the linesmen in the last 2 periods of a game?
Yeah, I thought they were fantastic. I think any time when the refereeing allows the 2 teams on the ice to decide the outcome of the game, I think, that's really all you can ask for as a coach or a player.
Switching gears to the goaltending with Olas and Tom both at the AHL level right now. You have Garrett Sparks on an E-Bug contract. Pardon my not understanding 100%. He cannot play unless there's an injury, correct?
That's correct. That's the way the league rules work.
How long can he be emergency backup goaltender, or will you guys have to make an official roster move at some point?
Yeah, we're going to have to decide what we're doing there. I have constant communication with Hartford, and we're hoping here in the next 24 to 72 hours we have some clarity on that situation. It's just a little premature right now.
So for right now, Dryden McKay is the number 1. How do you feel like he's performed since kind of basically having to take the mantle on his own?
I mean, we think Drydes is elite. We feel very lucky, again, similar to Tedesco, that, he's on our team and not someone else's. And obviously being familiar with him last season and his body of work, and then to be able to bring him back here to Bloomington, he's, somewhat of a local player, which means a lot to us. And his family's able to come out and watch him play. And that's something that we take, a lot of pride in. And so I think he's been fantastic. He gives us a chance to win night in and night out.
Final question is about logistics. With the weather, both here and it looks like across Iowa, you have a game on Sunday. Does that alter your guys' travel plans?
Absolutely. We were just talking internally about that. We're going to give our guys the day off tomorrow. We've been having a pretty hectic schedule, and then if you look forward, it doesn't necessarily get any easier. So we're going to try and use rest as a weapon, and just have some real good recovery tomorrow. But we're already kind of monitoring the weather patterns, and we got to determine if we need to go a little bit earlier and make those adjustments to make sure that we're on time for that 3 p.m. game in Iowa.
Thank you, Coach.
So you were mentioning game adjustments a little bit ago. Line adjustment, putting Roby, Denise, and Yeamans all on one line, a little bit more physical. Is like that kind of a trend we might see, especially against a team like Indy plays a little bit more physical, or is that just kind of a game adjustment and trying to throw something new against a team that you're familiar with?
Well, again, we feel very fortunate to have those 3 types of players, and then to be able to put them on the same line, it does give us that, that urgency and that, that physicality that we definitely think, can turn the momentum of a hockey game. And in between the second and third period, I gave our that line, a recognition. I thought Roby going out there and mixing it up and doing what he does, and Denny, every time he hits through people, and Yeamans is, he's just the ultimate warrior. So to have those 3 guys on your team and be able to have them on that line together is something that Dan and I and Mess worked really hard to make sure that we had kind of all the boxes checked when it came to our roster compilation.
And just for me, with that move, that allowed Sullivan Mack to kind of go up and it seemed like play a ton of minutes today on that second line. What did you see from him? And just a matter of time before he starts to get rewarded on the score sheet, you think?
Yeah, he's a real dynamic player, very quick. He's got, at times he has that puck on a string, as we would refer to. He's got a lot of poise with the puck, and, he plays the game the right way. And, we just felt like, we needed to elevate him and throughout the lineup. And, again, he's getting a ton of chances, and, he's in a similar boat as a couple of other players in terms of, I think once he gets one, he might get a couple here.